Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's VAI Coffee Talk. We're going to talk about license management and making it manageable because I think, as we know, in the pharmaceutical industry, license management is very onerous. It's very daunting. And not that manageable at the end of the day. It requires usually a team of people to take care of in any given distribution center. So let's talk about some tools available in your S2K pharmaceutical package that will help you with this. So to level set, let's just talk about what your requirements are, and this will flow into what S2K is looking at for you. I'm sure you all know this, so just bear with me. But license compliance as it relates to you and your organization is your company license. Are each of your distribution centers licensed? And are you licensed for every state in which you're distributing? So wherever your customers are, you obviously have to be licensed for that as well. So these are some things we're going to be looking for as we process orders in S2K. Now, you're also responsible for making sure they are compliant with licensing as it relates to you shipping orders. So we need to know, is your customer licensed? Are they licensed appropriately, rather? And are each of your customers receiving locations licensed? So are they licensed in every state in which you're shipping, as an example? To that note, also, we need to make sure the vendors are licensed appropriately. You don't want to be trying to order product from a vendor that you're not sure is licensed to ship that product to you. And then each of your vendors ship from locations must be licensed for said product as well. So that's a lot of responsibility. That's a tall order on your shoulders. So, trying to manage that on a spreadsheet with a hope and a prayer isn't really effective or efficient. And we want to kind of close that gap. So we've developed some tools to help you do that. And just as an example of some of the types of licenses that we're talking about, these are the most common ones I see: DEA, obviously your state license, HINS, a public health service license. But we really give you the ability to create any license type that is relevant to you, or just any license type that you want to track in general. So what that looks like in S2K, under your pharma file maintenance, you have your license type set up. And when we go in there, you're going to see a table here with all different types that are set up. But if we look at one of them, this is the DEA license. There's some general settings here. You're going to see some flags over on the right, that you'll learn about in training and implementation. But basically, it's, are we checking for this type of license, and where are we checking it? And then who do I notify upon expiration of this license? So you're going to see I have days to notify licensee is 30, days to notify administrator is 30, and the screen that I was just in showed me who my administrators are, and my system will actually send them a notice 30 days prior to expiration so that we can get ahead of the curve there, making sure the licenses stay updated in the system and don't cause any issues. Now, the next type of setup we have in the system is going to be the actual license itself. So if we take a look at our license file in S2K, there's a ton of different columns and information here, but if I'm going to select one, this is a customer DEA license. You're going to see the type of schedules that this license is applicable for, any comments I might have added, whether or not this customer is considered a distributor, and what do I do upon order entry error. So without getting too far in the weeds, there's some additional features on here as well, such as are there any REMS programs associated with this license? What is the address and customer information for this license? And then we go so far as to give you additional levels of control at the license level, and this is an NDC number allocation control. And we also have drug code allocation, so I can actually come in here and say anytime they try to order this drug code at 1100, the limit for them is 250 units. the non-liquid limit. You can also do liquid limits here. And what that allows me to do is control at this particular license number, this registrant assigned to this customer, right, those drug allocations. So there's a lot of great information just in this license setup. Now, how do we get all that information in there? This is really where making this manageable comes into play. I mean, sure, all that information is great, but it takes a team of people to get it in there, keep it updated, and so on. So we have a couple options for you. Likely you already have a relationship with the DEA and they give you access to their database on a periodic occasion to upload their information or as it may be, print it and type it in. So we actually built a standard DEA data import for license validation. So we have a few different options in here. We can tell the system how frequent we're going to update the registrant file. We can also update DEA codes, drug codes, so you don't have to manually import those. But the one I want to talk about today is the license validation. So when we get this information from the DEA, we can tell our system, okay, let's go ahead and update or just create, import my file from the DEA and, give me a report on it. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to report and update. And I want it to go ahead and email the results to me so that I can see how it happened. So I could print it or email it. I'm just going to go ahead and email it. So what I've just done in that quick time is taken a file that I've downloaded from the DEA, my portal website with them, and have told S2K to go ahead and import that file, make all of the changes associated with that file. So if any of my registrants have expired, their drug codes have changed as far as what they're allowed to order, the schedule wise, make all of those changes and give me an edit report. So as quick as it was for me to download and upload, I have now updated my entire DEA license information in the database. Now, DEA is great, but there's a lot of states in the union, right? So let's take a look at another option that we've recently added, which I'm very excited about, is MedPro. So I'm not a reseller of MedPro or anything, but we have created an interface with them that allows you to do the same thing we just did with the DEA, but on a much broader level. We can now get state license numbers, your MPIs, your HINs. If you have a relationship with MedPro, this does require you to have a subscription with them, and they provide that data for you. We have built an integration with them so that we can keep S2K's license file up to date based on the frequency you are subscribed to with them. So this is huge. This is really going to take something that is a very manual and laborious process and make it a little bit more autonomous for you. So that's great. Now we have automated everything and we've got S2K set up and it's going to do its job, but what does that mean and where does that come into play? So I just want to show you quickly what that looks like. When I go into order entry to place an order, there's a few things that's going to happen. I'm going to obviously select my customer and I'm going to select a ship to if that applies. If not, I hit enter, the system will fill in the information for me. Now, right at this level, before I've even asked for anything, the system's telling me I am not finding a New York State license. I am not finding a DEA license for the customer, and I'm not finding a DEA license for your location. So this customer is set up to be shipped out of my location 980 in that example, and in S2K, I did not have a license for that particular warehouse location. So right away, I'm getting some errors. Okay. Now, one step further is what happens when I go to enter a line item. So we're checking it again at the line item level. If I go to enter an item that is a scheduled product that I'm not licensed for, the system's going to immediately alert me. So you can tell that the system says, okay, this item is a Schedule 3 non-narcotic, and here's all of the things that are failing. And again, the customer's DEA, the customer's state, and my own licensing has failed. I cannot get this item onto the order. So you can see I'm stuck here. I cannot go any further. So that's all great. We stop it at order entry. We have just saved you some potential fines and trouble and non-compliance and all that good stuff. But you know, how do we know about it? What's the next step? How do we stop this from continuing to happen? Or how do we solve it? Maybe it's just, you know, a data error for whatever reason. So the next, you know, thing that we have would be the compliance events dashboard, or the next step in the process rather. And your compliance manager or whomever is responsible for licensing is going to be notified either, you know, via a workflow alert, or they're going to manage their dashboard, right? And what that looks like is when we go into the compliance event dashboard in S2K, speaking strictly on license issues, if I select, I want to look at all customer orders for that one customer I just entered, you're going to see here's those records. Remember those 3 errors I was getting for trying to place an order for an item that I did not have license authority to do. So I'm missing the New York State license for this order number, this customer, and it was created on this day. And I could drill in and look at details. I can actually, as the compliance manager, if I have authority, go right into the order and make changes to the order. So perhaps I'm going to fix the license issue, and then I can go in, update my order. Or I want to create some notes and say, yes, that, you know, this is correct. We don't have the licensing. I reached out to so-and-so, and I'm going to go ahead and close the event for now. All of that is done. It's all user date and time stamped down to the 100th of the second for auditing purposes, and we've tracked all of that. So again, these are all just informational only, as you'll tell by the status or the type over here, related to customer orders. This particular customer and me, as the compliance manager responsible for license issues, was able to see that and rectify it or just close it out going forward. Okay, so there you have it, license management made manageable with S2K Pharma. Use the upload tools, use your relationships with your licensing services. Let them do what they're good at, and let us do what we're good at, and then from there we give you that information for you to then do what you're good at, and work with your customers and your products and make good distribution decisions that'll keep you out of trouble. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. We'd love to hear from you. You can find us at www.vai.net. Thanks again for joining us, and I hope you join us for our next VAI Coffee Talk.